most podcasts are a couple of leather chairs and a couple of guys sitting there, but got the cameras, got the audio system.
Yep.
Like, you know what? I think the airplane is the better way to go. For everyone out in YouTube, this is Tom Crossmon. He's the salvage and location expert as far as recovery with sonar and ROV. Tom, you want to talk a little bit about your experience with the ROVs and sonar?
Well, I started out doing drowning victim recoveries about 40 years ago. Back then, we were doing it all with drag hooks and just lines, really not any technology. And in the mid 1990s, I got involved with side scan sonar, and that was a real eye opener for us to start using that. And then in 2003, I got introduced into ROVs, using video array micro ROVs for drowning victim recovery. We were the first person in the world to locate a drowning victim using that technology and recovering them right over Lake Superior here.
Okay, and you were able to recover them with the ROV?
The first one we didn't use. We just found them with the ROV and put a diver down, and then the next year, I think it was, we actually used the ROV to do the recovery, which everyone thought was impossible to do. But we used the manipulator and then just hand over hand that tether to the surface and bring the body up.
Yeah, that's cool. That I've been on a few different. We've worked together on projects doing, industrial water users, power plants, that kind of stuff. We've done inspections where Tom will do a portion of the inspection with the ROV, and then my divers would go in and do the diving portion. And we've had a couple of situations like that. Trying to get some heat going here. So, yeah, we'll head up the North Shore, up towards Split Rock Lighthouse, flying along Duluth right now. Just came out of Superior, Wisconsin. But, yeah, and then I'll maybe pop a photo in there of the train that we found together. That was cool. It was a group of 3 divers. My son was along. I think he was
15 years old.
Mac was like 13, 14, something like that. And we're on the north side of Lake Superior. This train went off the tracks about 100 years ago.
Yeah.
A steam engine.
Yep.
And hit some boulders on there. And then was it 2 or 3 guys that were on that?
I think 3.
And they went off the tracks and really, really deep right there. And people knew the train was there, obviously, but nobody had been able to find it. So essentially, nobody had seen it in 100 years. And I think you found it in 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was less than an hour.
It was pretty miraculous. Normally, in nature, there's no straight lines, except they had built this pathway, what do you want to call it, a ledge into the mountain.
Yes.
And they had drilled and exploded all this stone out of there. And that's laying along, going down the depth, it's 350 feet deep there, and I think we found the train in 245.
That's right. Yep.
So got a photo of. I was one of the first. There was 3 of us on. That was off your boat, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So off your boat, up by Marathon, Canada, and all that. So we've worked together a long time. Tom has been all over the world. I mean, you've gone other countries.
Yeah.
And
we were just recently, we did a TV show in Cambodia. In fact, Dave's over in Saudi Arabia now doing teaching. We've been to Cambodia a couple winters ago. Literally gone worldwide to do body recoveries.
Yeah, and then you work with the Historical Society as well, finding shipwrecks, right?
Yes, yep. So I'm on the board of directors for the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, because we've done the Ganilda together. That was, I remember that being so excited. My son was so excited because he was working with you, 13, 14 years old, being able to fly an ROV on one of a world-class wreck, the Ganilda. And we're down there diving, and Tom and my son are flying the ROV around. And
literally, he was able to film his dad diving the wreck. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the bell on the Ganilda is at 235 feet.
Yeah.
And the best photo I have of me diving is backlit by your ROV,
Right.
and Ron took the picture, and I'm sitting there next to the bell on the Ganilda, so 235 feet at the bell. Yeah, so then you made some changes to the boat too. You put like an arch across the back
Yep.
for handling. You got a deep water.
So the tollfish, my shipwreck tollfish is 220 pounds. So it'd be a bit much for me to handle deploying it without a winch and a ship. So we added an A-frame to deploy that. And my light tollfish is 130 pounds. So even that, my light fish is even, a standard tollfish is generally between 45 and 65 pounds. I'm building another tollfish built that'll be 320.
Wow.
Yeah, to get me just a little bit deeper.
An awesome boat, the Lake Assault. They make really nice
They
boats.
do. It's really been, it's ready for paint. It's shown its age, but it's every bit as good now as the day I bought it. It just needs to be cleaned up a little bit.
Welded aluminum boats are the way to go.
They are.
But very cool. Yeah, my last dive on the Ganilda was off your boat, and that's when I thought it was literally going to be my last dive. That's kind of a story in itself, but diving with Ron and had a little bit of a situation where I couldn't catch my breath and had to go on bailout, and had some flashes before my eyes, and I haven't dove cold deep water since. So I decided to get into something more safe, like flying airplanes,
Right.
But so I haven't. It's been about 5 years since I've done that type of diving. So, so what we wanted to talk about was this Seawind 3000 gentleman that was, like I said in a preview video, I think he wanted it maybe a little too badly and made some questionable decisions. There's a whole documented story we'll put in the link down below, but 7 crashes in 7 days. And there's a summary that somebody wrote that said, basically, like, you crash once in your lifetime, and you're lucky, and you live to tell about it. You crash 7 times in 7 days, and I'm not traveling with you.
That's right.
Is essentially what it said.
Exactly.
I can't argue that logic.
Right. I'm pretty picky about who I fly with.
Yeah. Well, you got in here with me, so that's
like I said, I'm pretty picky.
I'll take that as a vote of confidence. Yes. But so he went from California. He was trying to get to, we'll put the whole story down there, but or the link to it, was trying to get to Michigan, and he almost made it home. He had some incidents, but the 7th incident, he already had gear problems, so he had the gear locked down. Then he had engine problems. He's over water, and he ends up putting it down on Lake Michigan. You never want to land a seaplane with an amphibious plane with the gear down. He survived that, and the plane flooded, went down. He was rescued by the Coast Guard. We have the coordinates for the location, and I have little doubt that we can find the thing as fast as we found the train.
Absolutely,
if not faster.
I would agree.
I don't think that's on the list of. There's a lot of challenges in how to do something like this, but is that one of them? No. Is it worth going after? That's a question to be answered. It was a $110,000 plane. I think the guy paid for it, and that was when it wasn't waterlogged.
Right.
And in 360 feet. But it might not make real world sense to go looking for this thing, but it might make YouTube sense if people are interested enough.
That's right.
Get enough likes, subscribes, whatever. Figure out, it's an expensive operation to, even though you own the equipment. None of this stuff is free.
That's
fuel,
right.
all that kind of stuff, and got to go up by Beaver Island to go after it. But we could find it pretty quick, and then there's a matter of you have to get a permit, right? If you're thinking about recovering it. So there's the permit process, which you have to have photos.
Yes.
Well, fortunately, with an ROV, we would not only have so tell the folks how about, once we get to the GPS coordinates where we know the plane went down, how do you go about flying would you use the Defender ROV?
Yeah.
So How would you go about then locating it?
We would probably initially side scan it just to make certain that it's where we think it is. And once we have a side scan location, we would then park the boat over the top of that. And I have basically a poor man's positioning system on my boat, dynamic positioning, which is an electric trolling motor, which will hold my boat right on station.
Wow.
So I used that out on when we located the Henry Steinbrenner in September on 750 feet of water. We sat on top of that, dropped the ROV down right on top of it, and looked at it. And that's exactly what we'll do with this plane. Side scan it, have a GPS location, park on it, send the ROV down, get good video of it, so we can come up with a plan on how we're going to raise it.
Yeah, like I say, if it makes sense to raise it, then okay. So now we get the permit, and the Coast Guard won't let you dive that deep and go after something like that.
Right.
So then we have to figure out, can we remotely bring it to the surface? We suspect that we can.
Absolutely.
Because of the ability to rig it, get a lift bag on it, pop the lift bag, get it to a better salvage depth.
Yes.
And then we could rig the thing to be towed into shore. We already have the procedure on the wing removal. We would pickle the engine, a whole bunch of other stuff that we're getting way before, cart before the horse
exactly
right now. But
you have to have a plan before you even enter into this. That what are we going to do from start to finish?
Other than just being cool.
That's right.
Going,
yes.
All right, we can find this thing. So should it be found? Well, I don't think anyone. They say it's unrecoverable. Well, that's the part that makes me want to recover it.
Yeah. I'm always one to want to go after something and somebody says it can't happen.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's what happened on that yacht that we recovered.
Yes.
Was it the MV Access?
Yes.
Yeah, and people were like, "Just leave it. Don't go looking for it." And then it was the family that wanted to find it to clear his son's name.
Yes.
Because wanted to prove that he didn't do anything wrong. And by you finding it, and then my guys, we went in there and recovered it.
Yep.
Got it into shore, and they were able to quickly tell that we gave closure to that dad, and that was my first experience working with you. Is the whole body recovery thing. I've kind of been like, I don't know that it's my thing, but you've done so much of it and been able to give closure to families that I really think that's a cool thing. I mean,
that's
the
most rewarding thing I've ever done by far.
That's pretty darn cool. So, well, I think we'll throw in some photos, let people comment and decide on the whole Seawind salvage idea, and if it should be salvaged, or if it's just neat to maybe go say that we found it. And I think this is going to be a thing. If I got to do a podcast instead of setting up chairs, and it's like, let's go flying, man.
Exactly.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Yep.
Dive in Lake Superior, when you guys will have seen the photos on the Ganilda and the train wreck. At its warmest, it's 50 degrees for about what seems like a few days.
That's right.
In like August.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And you don't have to go down very far, and that warmth of the 50-degree water is gone.
It's gone.
And you get down 200 plus, and it might as well be freezing. It's just barely above freezing.
That's right.
That's the one thing I was going to talk about. Why we're uniquely qualified to talk about the potential salvage of this is for 33 years I've been doing the commercial diving. I wanted to mention that, and we've done salvage. But then, as a commercial diver, I always thought that technical divers, rebreathers and cave divers and all that were nuts. And then I became one and confirmed it.
Yeah, right.
So, it's like you're on your own. You don't have the same safeties as we do with commercial diving. I'm still in the commercial dive business, doing projects all over the country. Got a big one out in Utah, and one in California, and we've got guys on the East Coast as well. And we do a bunch of work around here in the Midwest. So between that, would it be worth to do a commercial dive and do a salvage on this plane? Absolutely not.
No.
We probably have, to get the proper equipment out there, probably $250,000 just
Exactly right.
just in mobilization.
Worth more than the plane was new.
Right.
Yeah.
Way more.
Yeah.
Absolutely not worth it. Would you do it with technical divers? Well, yeah, you could. I know a few guys that, there's definitely guys that can dive 360 feet.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them anymore because I'm not current.
Right.
My deepest dive is 350, and that was in warm water. I'm not about to. It gets exponentially riskier and harder when you start doing dives like that in cold water. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's not on the table for me. There's still one on my bucket list that I want to do up on Isle Royal, and that's the cam loop.
Cam loops, yeah.
So if I get back into it, it'll be to do that.
I think that's at like 260.
Yeah, which I've done.
Yeah.
But you don't just fill your tanks and go do that. You got to do like we did, where you go do a test run at Madeira, and there was a bunch of test runs before that. That's some big dive in there. That's and to be honest with you, I don't know.
Yes, right.
Flying's been a good pastime and probably safer. So
yeah,
I got into the cave diving. Work with the guys down at ProTech in Tulum. Best professional, amazing dive shop and all that. But that has stuck with me. The cave diving thing is, I think a lot of it, rebreathers and caves, comes from aviation with the checklists and just making sure, one is none.
That's exactly right.
One flashlight in a cave, you might as well have none.
That's right.
Same with aviation. You've got double spark plugs, double magnetos. You've got redundancy on top of redundancy for a very good reason.
That's right.
And that's how the cave diving and tech diving is. If the incident that I had on the Ganilda, where I couldn't, I started coughing and I couldn't catch my breath, had to go on bailout. Ron was there and he was backing me up. But when it comes right down to it, when you're tech diving, it's a self-rescue situation because if he can't help me, he's got no choice but to leave me. Whereas with commercial diving, we have a standby diver, we have multiple redundancies, we have full communication. I tell people the only thing commercial diving and tech diving or scuba diving have in common is that they're wet.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's a completely different world.
Yeah, I think between the airplanes, me being a commercial pilot as well, so commercial float rated pilot and commercial diver and tech diver, and then your experience with sonar and ROVs, I think we're a unique combination to go after this unique situation. Well, if anyone else thinks this plane's worth recovering and wants to go about it, do a YouTube video. It would be a whole lot less work if I could just watch their YouTube video.
Yeah.
A lot less money for us as well.
Right.
So, but
fuel and
I could just get people to like, subscribe. I'm not asking for any money, but hey, money be cool too.
That's right. Yeah.
You do earn if this gets popular enough and people watch it, you earn a little bit of money, and I think the video itself would do really well.
Yeah,
it's a really unique story. I feel bad for the guy, but he obviously made some questionable aeronautical decision-making process there with continuing to fly that airplane or even getting it in the first place.
Right.
I don't think we've got to set up cameras. We'll just count this as the podcast.
Yeah.
And
excellent.
I can't think of a better way to do a podcast.
No, I agree. I have to take a flight over to the Beaver Islands where we do this.
Oh yeah,
wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Over our search area.
I have an idea. You drive the truck, pull in the boat, and do all those miles, and I'll fly the float plane. We'll see who gets there first.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. Well, before I run out of battery, I guess thank you for coming flying with me, and look forward to seeing what you people think on in YouTube land on the whole idea of doing this. And I hope you follow along, like and subscribe. check out the other videos we've done. We keep talking about Chad. We'll see how it makes through the edit, but Chad had the Murphy Moose with the LS3 525 horse, and then Kenny Mines with the PT6 turbine version of the Murphy Moose. We did a video on that, so if you guys haven't seen that, check it out, please. Like I say, like and subscribe, and follow along. We'll see where this thing goes. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.